Hey, hey, hey. Happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the grand poobah. Ah. So if you noticed, I got a brand new open. Yeah, I figured make something a little different so that the standalone videos, the reviews and the unboxings and things like that I do doesn't have the same exact opening as the Daily Dope does. So I kind of put this new one together. Kind of has a retro feel to it. I don't know. What can I tell you? I'm an old gamer. So I thought that might be kind of funny. And of course, do want to mention that the music that you heard is from our friend Dan Pancaldi. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. From No Enemies Here. So today is Monday, June 22nd, 2020. This is episode 501 of The Daily Dope. This is your first time joining me. Keep in mind, this is very, very casual. For the most part, just kind of kick back, talk about tabletop gaming news. And once in a while, maybe a little PC game stuff, some pop culture things. But I'd say 99.8% of the topics we talk about here is tabletop gaming news. Once again, very casual. It is certainly not rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination whatsoever. Anyway, do want to point out when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, and if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that notification bell. It will tell you when I upload standalone videos, such as my interviews and reviews and stuff like that. All right, also, because this is a live stream, that also means that there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you'd like to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question or a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So far, I do see that Dan from No Enemies Here is hanging out in chat with us. Good to see you, Dan. Hopefully, the past, what was it? It's been 11 days? No, 10 days. I think it's 10 days without a show. As I spill soda on me, it's like, jeez. Yep. All right, and then I bumped something. Actually, it's just a little drop, and you can't even see it. It's like dropped down below where the camera's cut off. And then all of a sudden I bumped something, and some screen came up for some Windows thing, and it was like boink. And I was like, okay, now I can't see chat. I can't see the video. I can't see the teleprompter, which tonight, strangely enough, I guess the website that I usually use, their free online teleprompter, is either down or it's done or something, because that link isn't coming up. So I found this out, about 7 minutes before I was going to start the show. It's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So anyway, so I've got a few different things I'm playing around with. Damn, I swear it's so humid here. I was shaving and I've got like that crappy like shaving bumps. I hate that. I very rarely get those, but unfortunately got it today. All right. Anyway, so good amount of news tonight. Going to jump into that. I'll talk a little bit about what I've been up to during my time off. I don't want to say it was a hiatus. It was really just a kind of a vacation, a week without doing any of the live shows. And then it was kind of funny because I said, oh, well, I'm still going to do stuff. I'm still going to shoot videos. And I was like, you know what? If I'm taking a vacation, I'm taking a vacation from all of this stuff. So I'm going to talk about what I've been up to as well. Let's jump on into the news because this fall we'll see the release of a new tile placement game from Capstone Games. I've got the dope on Curious Cargo. I stumbled upon a midnight market. It wasn't selling flowers or farm goods. It was more curious sort of cargo. Energy capacitors, strange crystalline material, and something green and jiggly. Since then, I've been dragged into it, deep into the thick of it. I paid a stranger more than I should have for manufacturing plans I hardly understood. Worse yet, they sold the same stuff to my best friend. Now I have to get my supply lines up and running to prepare for shipping my cargo. And if my friend starts shipping some of this curious cargo, I'll have to intercept their trucks and corner the market that way. Geez, not much of a friend, huh? By hook or by crook, I'm going to be the king of Curious Cargo. Curious Cargo is a two-player game in which you go head-to-head against your opponent by building up the infrastructure of your facility, calling in trucks at the right moment, all while perfectly timing shipping and receiving of cargo to score the most points. Collect an interweaving web of lines to your shipping and receiving spaces. Play with two-color conveyor tiles or step it up for an advanced experience and play with all three colors. Ship your custom-shaped cargo tokens to your opponent to interfere with their logistics plans. The puzzling nature of Ryan Courtney's pipeline comes alive in Curious Cargo. Did I say curious? I meant Curious Cargo. With 6 unique player boards for each player and 2 game modes, a skillful challenge awaits even the sharpest competitor, which leaves me out of the equation. Curious Cargo is for 2 players, ages 12 and up, plays in 30 to 60 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it arrives in October. Yeah, interesting. Looks kind of different. I wish there was a little more detail floating around about the game and a bit more as by way of images of the game, which for some strange reason seems like today some of the items that kind of caught my eye did not have a lot of images floating around out there of the actual game components. But this could be kind of cool, especially if people like the kind of puzzly games. It's kind of a, 2-player head-to-head competition. Although it's kind of strange how they present it as, oh, I've suddenly become like, the shipper of this oddball curious cargo, and so's my best friend, and now I need to defeat my best friend. It's like, what? What kind of friend are you? I see that we've got a Gray Day and the Madman are in chat with us tonight, too. Good to see you both, gents. Hopefully the audio's okay. That was one thing I'd messed around with a lot during my time off, was trying to see how to get this mic the way I want it. And it's part of the problem is when I wear headphones, it sounds one way. When I'm listening to speakers, it sounds a different way. And the headphones I'm wearing are not cheapo headphones. They're supposed to be studio headphones, so I can hear what it supposedly really sounds like. And then, of course, after I upload something to YouTube, then the audio sounds completely different too. Gotta like it. Moving right along. Iello Games has an interesting sounding game. It's a kind of a conquest game. It's called Katara. It's on the horizon. And guess who's got the dope? A frenetic and original conquest game. Restore the greatness of the Katara, not Kintara, Katara Empire, enlarging your territories through savannas and antique ruins. Katara is a strategy game that mixes conquest, movement, and battle. Manage your cards to plan your actions. The more territories you control, the more options you get. Strengthen your army of hunters, cheetah centaurs, and heroes. Protect livestock and crops. Move your troops and go to war. Katara is a dynamic strategy game full of tension and suspense. Katara is for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 30 minutes. It will carry an MSRP of $34.99 when it arrives on October 22nd. Something that I thought looked pretty interesting with this new release is that it's kind of an African fantasy setting, especially if you take a look. We've got the like centaur, the cheetah centaur, and then we've got these even on the cover of the box, we've got these warriors who are riding these huge beasts. So it looks kind of interesting. It looks like it could be kind of cool. And I have to be honest, Iello Games does not tend to make like conflict-related strategy games. Iello tends to be very Euro-y, puzzly games. Sure, yeah, they make King of Tokyo / King of New York. Once again, not a heavy strategy game. That is more a chuck and dice, kind of push your luck, Yahtzee-ish game. So this could be kind of interesting. Could be a bit of a departure for Iello Games. Craig Martin's in chat. Good to see you, Craig. Thanks for joining us. Flaming Heron's also popping in as well. So it looks like we've got a good chat off and running tonight. Let's move on to my next news piece. Speaking of companies that actually do normally kind of focus on conflict games, Ares Games is teaming up with Escape Studios to publish the adventure game Tales of Evil. Following a successful Kickstarter run, here's the dope. Tales of Evil is a game for 1 to 5 Braves, the name used for the players from now on, who become one of the members of a group of kids called Pizza and Investigation. That's kind of an oddball name, but it is originally an Italian language game. During each adventure, the young investigators venture into places inhabited by the forces of evil and need to get out alive while trying to complete their missions. The investigators will have to use all their strength and ingenuity to stop the demons they meet along the way, not to mention the evil that resides in the places they explore. But that's not all. And here is where the Braves come into play. You and your friends, that is. Because Tales of Evil is an adventure that, based on your decisions, can end in many different ways. You can be the protagonists, and the sole responsibility for your fate and that of your friends is in your hands. Tales of Evil is for 1 to 5 players, ages 13 and up, and plays in about an hour. This release is slated for September. I don't have an exact date. But there's also no MSRP info yet. But I'm going to take a guess based on what I saw on the Kickstarter. You're probably looking at about $60 for the base game. I think they still have some like late pledges open. So I think there's late pledges that are open. And there is kind of like a deluxe edition that has some, I think it's got some expansion adventures in it, missions in it. And I think I saw that was about $100, but I don't think that is going to be something that's going to be available to retail. So let's see. Used to cut pizza, I presume. So Dan says, looks like a Chateau Noir game called V Commandos. Or at least the board does. It does look like this is a modular board. So we'll let this go by. This is another game that there were some images I wish had been larger that actually showed, because there's like little miniatures and stuff in it for each of the characters. And I think there's like 7 or 8 of the kids that you can choose from. And they had these really cool painted minis, but the image itself, if I tried to blow it up a little bit to put it on a slide here to share as the news, and it was just awful. It was, you couldn't make out anything. It was so blown. I think it was all of about 200 pixels high, which was like, I was like, what? But yes, this looks like there are quite a few different kind of like location boards. For those of you out there who might be familiar with, say, Mansions of Madness from Fantasy Flight Games, where you've got the different locations. Betrayal Legacy from Avalon Hill is another one that has kind of these modular boards that you'll utilize for the mysteries. This could be kind of cool. This seems to have kind of a Scooby-Doo vibe if the gang was investigating actual real ghosts and monsters. So, demonic puppeteer. Yes, it is the mystery of the demonic puppeteer. I will have, of course, a news piece. It'll have links and things like that. But strangely enough, Ares Games really doesn't have much cooking as far as information and news on it either. I have actually found kind of a new locale that I'm getting some of the news from, because the distributor that I had been getting a lot of news from, I want to say it's it's PDX. PDX here. It's got like 6 locations. There's one actually in the Chicago area. They have not been sending anything out. I don't know if they're still shut down because of COVID. I have no idea. I don't know. So we had a big news release for role-playing game fans out there. This was announced this weekend because, yes, the latest Dungeons & Dragons adventure was revealed during D&D Live 2020. I've got the dope on Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. Some secrets are worth dying for. Feel the cold touch of death in this adventure for the world's greatest role-playing game. In Icewind Dale, adventure is a dish best served, you guessed it, cold. Beneath the unyielding night sky, you stand before a towering glacier and recite an ancient. How about a sip here, Jeff? So Grade A says, not much mystery if you know what already know what's there for the demonic puppeteer from the previous game. But it does look like the endings will all be different. It's not just one ending. Anyway, but we're not talking about that anymore. We're talking about the new Dungeons & Dragons adventure. Anyway, let's start from scratch on this. Beneath the unyielding night sky, you stand before a towering glacier and recite an ancient rhyme, causing a crack to form in the great wall of ice. Beyond this yawning fissure, the caves of hunger await, and past this icy dungeon is a secret so old and terrifying that few dare speak of it. The mad wizards of the arcane brotherhood long to possess that which the god of winter's wrath has so coldly preserved, as do you. What fantastic secrets and treasures are entombed in the sunless heart of the glacier, and what will their discovery mean for the denizens of Icewind Dale? Can you save 10 towns from the Frost Maiden's everlasting night? Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden, is a tale of dark terror that revisits the forlorn, flickering candlelights of civilization known as 10 Towns and sheds light on the many bone-chilling locations that surround these frontier settlements. This hardcover will feature a standard cover as well as an alternate art cover, which I'm sharing with you as well. And it does carry an MSRP of $49.95. I think it's 95, not 99. And when it arrives on September 15th, keep in mind that alternate cover is only available at friendly local game stores. That's one of the big deals that Wizards of the Coast does now with their alternate covers. They're only available at friendly local game stores, of course, and that's one until it goes on sale, and then people on eBay are selling. So, all right. So, Grady says, watch the Thursday and Saturday live stream of Dungeons and Dragons Live, D&D Live 2020, to check out info about this. And they had, now I didn't watch it. I didn't follow what was going on. I knew there was an announcement coming out, but I don't tend to really watch a lot of like live streaming shows. I know I only put out one, right? But I don't really tend to watch kind of like live plays and things like that. But so we're hearing that there were some Game of Thrones actors. Kate Welsh was a dungeon master. That's pretty wild. And Deborah Ann Wolf, who does quite a bit of D&D stuff, she was also DMing during it. Nice. So a Grade A says people are saying there's a trader mechanic in the module, but it's supposed to be very modular on how you can use it. See, that's tough to pull off. That is actually really. Here, I'll switch out of the little news screen there. Doing things like that, like having a hidden trader in role playing games, tends to be tricky because you and another player have to kind of be on the same wavelength. You have to be, you know, pretty well. You got to kind of get together before you even start playing and kind of work things out. And then it's very tough for that trader to continue playing along when suddenly things change, right? Because as a game master and doing a role-playing game, you have things go not the way you plan, right? It happens all the time. Players go off on a tangent and you're kind of like, okay, where are we going here? And, you either, kind of roll with it or you try to kind of wheel them back onto the path. But yeah, having a trader mechanic, having something like some secret behind the players' backs can be very difficult. Even something as simple like when I ran the haunting for Call of Cthulhu, the introductory adventure, Elliot's character was supposed to be a phony medium who my nephew Cameron's character was trying to expose, and his girlfriend Lexi, her character was a reporter for the Boston Herald who thought, hey, this sounds like a pretty good story. And they were also investigating this haunted house that kind of tied them all together. So, but the funny thing is that Elliot had a hard time pulling off that he wasn't really a medium as we were playing. He actually, during the game, his character starts acting like, yes, he really is a medium. And Elliot's kind of acting like, yeah, he really is a medium. And it's like, no, he really isn't a medium. He has no psychic powers. None. Until this one thing happened. And then Cameron and his girlfriend completely zoned out on, they were trying to expose Elliot's character as being a fraud. It was like, it's like, well, so like I said, so a Grade A saying, yeah, it's optional for that trader mechanic, semi based on the thing. Yes, of course. We played long ago a FASA, a Star Trek adventure that Elliot ran, and it was kind of based on the thing, and it was actually a lot of fun. It was very, very cool. But the thing was, it was kind of, I think that was a little easier to kind of pull off because all of us knew what the thing was. So Flaming Huron says that they're a little divided on having players being counterproductive in a game. As long as it's optional, it's fine. I don't mind players just being characters who are bad characters, though. Yeah, that's a good point. So the Madman says, yeah, his group last Friday took off. They were way off the rails and on down to dirt road. So yeah, and a lot of times, as long as it's not I know we got one news piece to go, but I have to say, in my opinion, as a game master, that as long as it's not the same player who every time you play has to have their own little adventure, that, and I don't mean that we're going to have to spotlight on this person as we're playing, and then, because I always made sure everybody got their time in the sun when we were playing. But Elliot's nephew, Paul, was just, every time we'd play, it was like he just had to like have his own personal adventure in that. And it got, I mean, I went along with it for the most part. And it would be, once we went about 10 minutes or so, that was going to be about the end. So he learned his lesson because granted, it's called Cthulhu, right? And his characters just had a way higher uh, fatality rate than anybody else's. Wonder why. All right, let's jump on into the final news piece. Because the Game Master's screen is available from Cubicle 7 Entertainment for Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound. Here's the dope. The Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound Game Master's screen presents a helpful summary of the most important rules for playing Soulbound, with stunning artwork created by renowned Warhammer artist Johan Grenier on one side and tables, charts, and quick references on the other. The Game Master screen is the perfect why can't I read tonight? The Game Master screen is the perfect accessory for any Soulbound GM. Accompanying the screen is Cities of Flame, a 36-page adventure supplement featuring 25 one-page adventures set across 5 major cities of Sigmar. The Game Master's screen and Cities of Flame includes the Game Master's screen, obviously enough, a 3-panel landscape screen with everything you need, from difficulty tables to conditions to all the actions you can take in combat. Cities of Flame, 25 one-page adventures set in 5 major cities in Asqui, Avantgarde, Brightspear, Hollowheart, Hammerhall, and Tempest's Eye. Advice on growing the adventures from whispered rumors to threats that can overcome a city. There are 4 new enemies to face, including the malevolent necromancer and their zombie horde. Right now, the Game Master screen and supplement are only available as PDFs. They are available at Drive-Thru RPG for $15. And of course, whenever I mention Drive-Thru RPG, that also means that the Daily Dope and thus the Gaming Gang, of course, are affiliated with the One Bookshelf site. So if you are going to pop over to Drive-Thru RPG and or Wargame Vault or Dungeon Masters Guild, by all means, please stop by thegaminggang.com. First, you'll notice we've got banner ads. Click on one of those banners, and if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And it really does help keep the Gaming Gang website around. In fact, I say it all the time. It will usually pay for the hosting of the website on a monthly basis. So jumping in, that is it for the news. So kind of quick hits. Some of the news pieces just weren't real in depth. It's just what I ran across. It kind of caught my eye. I know there's been a lot of stuff out there kind of floating around. A lot more role-playing game news, in my opinion, has been bouncing around as far as tabletop gaming as opposed to board games. But I don't know. Kind of weird. So Flaming Heron says, I didn't ask Jeff, did you run that Traveler game? I ran the beginning of it. So I got to be honest. I don't know if role-playing games are necessarily a good fit for my nephew and his girlfriend. So, and then the other thing too is now that we're not under like lockdown, we're not sheltering in place anymore here in Illinois. They've been out and about. So they've been out and about all the time. So on one hand, and I mentioned this before, I think the two of them both have problems imagining things. And I believe I've mentioned this in the past. I think some younger people today are just so used to having their entertainment just directly popped right in their face. Everything's visual. They see everything. That, for one, they don't read enough. And they just have a hard time. Their minds just don't process something that they haven't seen, right? So I ran the first part of the Traveler adventure. There was a bunch of stuff going on. We had like just torrential rain coming down, and the sump pump down here in the duct tape studios was cranking out. It was really loud. I was trying to run the game remotely and that was very distracting. And I could just kind of tell that Cameron and his nephew, or not Cameron and his nephew, my nephew Cameron and his girlfriend were just kind of like, yeah, sort of along for the ride. While my best friend Elliot Miller and his son Brian, who I didn't even realize Brian played role playing games. I knew he played some board games in that. They were like all totally in it, but I don't know. It was just kind of. I only wanted to really run Traveler because I thought my nephew and his girlfriend would have an easier time kind of putting themselves in a like science fiction frame of mind. So I don't know. So I think we're just going to put the kibosh on that. And I am going to run Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I want to do the Enemy Within. So once again, I'm ready to do my review in that. I just figured I was just going to take a break for a week. But I want to run that. I want to run that. I'm going to run that for Elliot and his son, and I don't know, maybe Dan from No Enemies Here might be part of it. I don't know. So yeah, right there we had Dan. Flaming Heron's like, is Dan playing with you? So Flaming Heron says, yeah, I think a lot of younger kids seem to play D&D, but it's few and far between, at least when we're playing in our local store. You know, I don't know. I honestly have no idea as far as my nephew and his girlfriend, they're like 18. So they're not like little kids. They're not young kids. They're, on the verge of adulthood. So I don't know. Not a clue. So Dan says, yes, he would love to be part of the game. We're still figuring out what's going on. Like I said, I haven't even talked to Elliot in about a week. So, which is very unusual. We usually talk on the phone a couple of times a week. So, but so we will be doing that. So I'm going to run Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. In fact, I even have the Game Master screen, which we were just talking about, the Age of Sigmar Soulbound. This is the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Game Master screen, which we will be showing off very shortly. I will start shooting videos this week, so I've got a lot of stuff to roll out. But anyway, so I was doing a little vacation. I didn't go anywhere, obviously enough. I'm still hanging around the house. But I caught up on some TV, some shows that I wanted to see. I did a bit of reading, mainly RPG stuff. But I also started playing. Well, I went back to playing. Oh, and Flaming Heron. Yes, you're very welcome. Anybody who was watching live on for the 500th show, which that was June 11th, if I remember correctly, they got PDFs for role-playing games. They have a variety of role-playing games that I was offering PDFs from Drive-Thru RPG. So yeah, that was cool. So yeah, everybody's welcome. Whoever whoever scored copies of what they were looking for. But anyway, I started once again playing. Gosh, what the hell is it? Battle Brothers. I keep wanting to say it's Brotherhood, but it's not. It's Battle Brothers, which I think that game came out about 3 years ago, and I messed around with it a little bit, but I didn't dive really too deeply into it at the time. But there's been some DLC that's come out, and it is a very, very interesting game. It is a very difficult game. I'm not sure if anybody out there is familiar. There you go. Flaming Heron's jumping in. Yes, it is good and brutal. Yes, it is not an easy game. So effectively what it is, it's sort of and in a way, it kind of does remind me a little bit of that Warhammer Fantasy setting, because it's kind of a European-ish setting. It looks like, like the equipment and stuff that they got is from about the 12th century or so. No gunpowder as far as I recall, or maybe I just haven't gotten it far enough. But I got to say that it's a tactical game, and you're supposed to be the captain of this mercenary company, and you grow the company, and you're fighting brigands and thugs, and suddenly you're fighting different monsters and orcs, and Yeah, so it's actually very, very cool. Very, very interesting. So most of the time at night, I was kind of messing around with that. So that's kind of how I had my spent my vacation, my week off, just kind of watching some TV, well, streaming, I guess I should say, and reading up some RPG stuff that I had some reviews coming up for, and playing some Battle Brothers. That was pretty much it. I did get a chance to play Ark Survival Evolved. Man, I found it boring. I was like, geez. Everybody's all pissed off that Epic Games didn't have it as the freebie that one Thursday, and then they hit it the next Thursday. I got it, and I got on, and I was like, "This is it's just the sandbox. There's no missions. There's nothing." It's like, nah, it's just a sandbox. I was like, no thanks. So there's some discussion in chat about the playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3 during D&D Live. So they said looked like they had some glitches, but it looked pretty good. So Grey Day says they really hope they improve the voice acting. Yeah. Go for the eyes, boo. Go for the eyes. Always liked that one. Oh, always liked it. Jeez. Yeah, Baldur's Gate was classic. That is classic. But even, the Baldur's Gate adventures, the voice acting was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't fantastic or anything like that. So Grady's also pointing out that they were watching The Last of Us 2 playthrough. That was an excellent game. That was a really good game. All right, Flaming Heron also points out Sandbox isn't for everyone, but that's a lot of the survival titles, even some of the single player ones. So yes and no. I mean, even the single player games that are kind of a survival game, they have objectives. They may not necessarily be missions or pre-scripted things, but you usually have some objectives. When I was playing Ark, it was just sort of like, okay, so you're supposed to be gathering this so you can make this, so you can craft this, so you can craft this, and then you go get this stuff so you can craft that stuff. And you're going to try to tame some of the dinosaurs and try to tame bigger and tougher dinosaurs. But what do? It's like, okay, so once you've done that, that's it. So anyway, all right. So yes, I know The Last of Us 2 just came out. There is some discussion that some folks aren't real keen with the ending. Or actually, I should say they're not super keen that you don't have a lot of choice in the game, that the game is kind of on rails. It's all right. As long as not every game is like that. All right, so that is it for tonight's show. So hopefully most of you got a chance to catch the new intro. If not, take a peek at the video once it's done rendering. You might get a kick out of it. Anyway, as I always like to point out, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that notification bell. It'll tell you when I upload standalone videos, as well as inform you when the Daily Dope streams live right here on YouTube, Monday through Thursday nights. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, go visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. I will, of course, be back tomorrow. Those of you who hung out in chat, thank you very much for keeping me company as always. And if you happen to watch after the fact, I certainly appreciate you taking time to watch the show, even if it's on Memorex. So everyone enjoy the rest of your Monday night / Tuesday morning. I'll be back tomorrow. And of course, during this time of pandemic, I always close by saying, be smart and stay safe. Oh, you're still here.
Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. And of course, if you want to catch up on past episodes of The Daily Dope, check out this playlist. And if you'd like to see what YouTube's recommending you take a peek at from the channel, just give a click right over here. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and once again, thank you very much for watching.